Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webcast, From Model to Drawings Using Advanced Steel with Martha Hollowell. Martha, I'm going to hand things over to you.
Thanks, Corrine. So hello and welcome to From Model to Drawings Using Advanced Steel. I'm excited to share with you about our most recent training guide. The formal name is Autodesk Advanced Steel 2018 Fundamentals. And in this webcast, I'm going to give you an overview of the software and of the training guide so you can get an idea of how this will help you in your work as fabricators, detailers, trainers, other users. As a matter of fact, I would like to know who are you, and so we've got a couple polling questions. And so I'd like to know if you are structural engineers, steel fabricators, trainers. If you're other, just pick one of those. I'm going to pick trainer, so I'm going to hit submit. And in a few minutes, or a few seconds really, we will go ahead and let this poll show up and see what we've got. So if you could add who you are. If you are an other, if you want to chat who you are, or put in your chat window what it is you do about this. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
We've got some questions, responses still coming in here.
Okay.
So, I'll give you another few seconds.
Yes,
Click on the answer.
We're glad to have a nice variety of people coming in today.
Mm-hmm.
I probably should have had one. It's like, okay, now, where are you in the world?
There we go. That would be a good one, too.
That would be a good one as well.
Okay. I think I will close the poll now. Get your answers in. I'm going to, oh, good. I see people are putting information in the chat window because most of our results actually are coming in as other.
Oh, okay.
Martha, just so you know. Yeah. So actually, I can tell you right now without even closing the poll. I can keep it open. I can let you know that 16% are structural engineers, 6% are steel fabricators, 20% are trainers, and right now we've got 56% of our attendees say other. And I am going to close that, and that will take, and I see there, and I'll just take a minute here to go into the, it'll just take a few seconds for me to access the chat window because it's closing the poll. So thank you everyone for participating. That was a very good response. Okay, so we've got a Revit MEP BIM manager. When they said other, so we've got someone from the UK. Someone
hello, so we know where they are from.
That's right. A nuclear plant designer, BIM manager, structural designer, and someone in mechanical design. So that's your audience.
Okay, good. That definitely helps to know who's here. So the other question I had was how many have actually used advanced steel? Are you currently using advanced steel? And I'm going to say, yes, I do, and hit my submit button. So are you currently using advanced steel? This product has been out for a while. So this is, in our case, it's new for us. And it, of course, has been bought by Autodesk a few years ago, and so they've started rolling things in. So a lot more people are probably hearing about it now than they were.
What do you think, Martha? Do you want to take a guess? I'm seeing the results here.
I'm saying no, but I might be wrong.
and you're good here. Yeah, there's 86% of the people are currently not using it.
Okay.
13%. Actually, that went up to 87% no, 13% yes.
Okay.
So let me just
that's good.
That.
So for those of you who are using it already, I am doing a quick overview, but hopefully you'll see a lot of the things that are in it, and also I'm going to give an overview of the training guide as well. So if you're looking to see, is this going to be a helpful training guide to help us learn how to use this better? I hope you'll see that that's good too. So great. That you can go ahead and take the poll down.
I think I did close it. Is it closed there? I see your gray screen.
Oh, okay. There we go. I just closed mine.
Everything looks good. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for filling us in. Because when we do put a new book out, we're never sure, who it is that needs this. And so while I might talk about steel fabricators a bit, that is one of our smaller groups. But anybody who's doing any kind of platforms and like the nuclear plant person, yes, these are things that will be very useful for you. So this is a powerful program that we're going to be looking at today with a lot of depth. And our course is actually designed to be taught in 4 days. We were thinking 3 at first, and we taught it and said, no, this is a 4-day course. So we, just so you'll know, even if you aren't taking a course, this is a lot of information in here. So even if you're doing it by yourself, plan to take a while to do it through. I'm only going to skim the surface, but I think you will see a lot that will intrigue you. So let's get going. So I'm going to give you an overview of each chapter in our Advanced Steel 2018 Fundamentals Training Guide. And then as I go, I'm going to demo some critical components of the software. And those are going to be, we're going to create a 3D model of a steel structure. Really, I'm going to show you how to do beams and columns. There's a lot more to it in the book. We're going to then add connections using a program called the Connection Manager. And then what a lot of people really love about this software, we're going to get our 2D drawings extracted from the model, and then we're going to actually review those drawings using a program or a product called the Document Manager. So what I'm going to do is, as I go through the thing, I'm going to show you the chapter slide for each of the various slides, and then I'm going to go in and talk a little bit and then demo for you. So our Chapter 1, typical basic introduction to advanced steel. We talk about, why you would want to use it, how to navigate the user interface, which I'll show you in just a minute, and also how to navigate in 3D views. So you'll know there are some AutoCAD tools. It is built on AutoCAD. So there are AutoCAD tools that are helpful in advanced steel, and then there are also some specific advanced steel commands that we cover in this first first chapter, as well as the user coordinate system, which I will talk a lot more about as we go through. The biggest change you may see if you were moving from a typical 2D drawing programs into using advanced steel is that you spend most of the time working in the 3D model as opposed to in the 2D information. The documents, all that 2D information, are extracted from that model. And the amazing thing is if you make a change in the model, so over here, it's actually going to update appropriately in your 2D documentation. So you're not going to have to go and search through all of your worksheets to figure out where it was that I needed to change this particular item. It's going to automatically do that for you. So let's take a look at the model that we create in this class, and I'm going to do a quick review of the user interface and some of the viewing tools so you can see them. Let's find where there it is, Advanced Steel. There we go. So here's our Advanced Steel thing. I actually work off of a white background instead of black. It hit me just at the last minute. I was like, oh, I'm so used to using white. So if you are used to using a standard installation, you're probably going to have a black background here instead of white. That's just my preference. I come from the Revit world, and so Revit has a white background, so I'm a little bit more used to using that. And it also helps me as I'm actually creating the books and taking screen grabs and things like that. So you can do it with a black background. It works just the same. You can see that it is AutoCAD, or in the sense it's based on AutoCAD itself, but it does look a bit different because if you start looking at what's up here on my tabs, you'll see things like rolled sections, connection vaults, advanced steel tool palette. Almost all of your ribbons tabs are specialty tabs, so you aren't going to find your basic move, copy, rotate, scale anywhere on these tabs, as a matter of fact. Instead, what you're going to find is some of your commands are in this item right here. This is called the Advanced Tool Palette. You can move it around. You can minimize it and maximize it, pin it in place, that sort of thing. And this is actually where your AutoCAD Modify tools are. So there you can see the base group of AutoCAD Modify tools. It's also where a lot of the advanced steel tools are. So this one is called Advanced Copy. very powerful tool, which of course, like I said, we cover all these in the class, so I'm not going to have time right now, as well as additional options. So working with the UCS, selection sets, filters, views, things like that. So there are a ton of the commands that you're going to use are actually in this palette and other ones like it. The other big part of using advanced steel, like I said, is working in 3D. And so I have my model here. I'm holding down the Shift key and my middle mouse button. I can just roll around that to see whatever direction I may want to see. This over here is called the, no, I'm just going blank on what it's called. That's really bad. Anyway, this here you can also move to specific faces. View cube, there we go. I know this thing perfectly well. Or you can bounce back to corner views and things like that. So I can quickly see all the different parts of my drawing, including the top view, which it did it that way because of which angled view it was. I can also come over here to this place right here. This also gives me my basic model views. This is similar to regular AutoCAD. So if you are using 3D in AutoCAD, these are the exact same things of what you're looking at right there. The one thing to watch out here is if I do pick, for example, my front view, I want you to look at, see this little icon right down here? It's the XYZ, it's our UCS. If I go to the front view, notice my UCS has changed the direction. You can see it, there you go. It's now in the XY plane. And so changing those views change the XY plane of the UCS and will impact what's happening in the software. So be very careful about doing that. You can change it back to the UCS world, and you still can type a few commands. So there I'm going UCS, and I'm typing world, and you can see now it's showing the ZX right there. So I can get into, whoops, wrong button. I wanted to come back here to my southwest isometric. And then go back to my isometric, and I can get back here. So as I mentioned, the UCS is going to be an important part of setting things up when you start doing things like braces, as well as in your documentation, and a few other things that need to be put in on the UCS. So that's just a quick overview of what you're going to see. Oh, by the way, here's the command line down here. I actually have my command line set so that you can see three. You can see how you can change the command line there. It's because a lot of times the advanced steel commands are long, and I want to see what the previous line was. So that's just a personal preference that actually set up my command line like that. All right. So like I said, a lot more happening in Chapter 1, but since we have a short period of time, I'm going to zoom on into Chapter 2. And this is where we build the models. This is the kind of the core of the software. I'm going to focus on adding the beams and columns. But first, you need to know that you need to start an advanced steel project using an advanced steel template. The templates have many preset defaults. So for example, you're seeing here the sections that I'm using in a beam. All of these are set up in the template, and so it's very critical to have the right template to start from. So you don't want to be just pulling in any old AutoCAD template. You can customize the template, but you need to start with one of the advanced steel templates first. So columns and beams, like I said, here's the most basic part of using advanced steel. And what you do is you add them in, and then you modify what this is called advanced properties. And the advanced properties has like the section, the positioning, naming, and things like that. So let's just take a quick look and model some columns and beams. All right, so I need a different drawing for this. I'm going to open up platform columns. Now, in this particular drawing, I already have set up a grid. So one of the other things that you can create in this, of course, is your grids so that you have your layouts the way you have them. I also set up something called levels, and the levels are actually on the Home tab in the Project Explorer. This is where you set up your levels. Levels are important for a couple of reasons. One is that they help you draw your the columns the right height, and I'm going to show you that in just a sec because I'm going to set the column based on levels. And then also you can view things. You can set up your levels so that you're viewing only certain levels. And the more complex your project is, of course, the more you need to see less of it as you're working. So there's a number of tools within this Project Explorer that let you minimize what you're seeing in the view so you can focus on what you're doing. Right now, I'm going to come down here to the bottom of this Project Explorer and click Work Planes. And you can see here that I have the work planes, and this is really for almost exclusively for the columns. I want them to go from level 0 to level 1. And back here on you can make this so you don't have to have it. So I am picking level 1 here, but you don't have to use this, but you can. It's a helpful thing. And so from level 0 to level 1 means I'm going to have a 12-foot column. So with all that set up, I'm just going to close that for a minute. I'm going to go to my Objects tab and pick my column command right up here. And by using that, by the way, it's very helpful because it's going to set a number of things. So you really want to, if you're drawing a column, use a column command. If you're using a beam, draw the beam command. As I mentioned, you probably will not be typing in any advanced steel name because they are really long. So you're going to need to use your icons and find where the icons are stored. And I'm going to come in here, and let me show you this. I want to do a snap, a special snap. The snaps you're going to use the most in advanced steel are the node snap, and then when you're starting in the grid intersection points. So these are the two snaps I have on. I want to make sure that I have my object snaps are on. I was practicing this yesterday, and they weren't working. And I was going, what? Yeah, the object snaps were not on. So very critical tool. I'm going to come in here to my corner here. There's a couple of other things happening, but I'm going to pick my grid intersection point right here. And there you can see my column. Now, this is, by the way, it's showing it in wireframe. I'll change that in just a minute. I could continue adding in the columns if I wanted to. But I want to modify this column a little bit first before I let it go to the rest of the columns. So I'm pressing Enter instead of selecting another column. And I will get up my Advanced Properties toolbar, dialog box. Just real quick, I'm going to come over here to my wireframe. I'm changing this, my custom visual style to conceptual, and that's just a little easier to see on the screen. Sometimes wireframe's really helpful, but conceptual is a good one. So, and that closed my box, but that's no problem because to get that box back, all I have to do is double-click on the object. Just so you'll know, you can also click on the object, right-click, and open Advanced Properties. So that's another way to get into this dialog box. They're critical, so you need to be able to see what you want. Now, I'm going to leave this still as an I section and as this particular size grouping, but I want to change the size, and you can see here I have a lot of options and once again, these sizes are included in the templates. So I'm just going to make it a little bit larger. I'm also going to change the positioning. And so instead of on this point over here to the left, I really want it on the center. And then I want it to have a different angle. This was the main reason before I wanted to make all the rest of them. I wanted to turn it that way. you can see when I do something in the Advanced Properties tool palette, or this dialog box, it automatically happens. There's no OK, there's no apply. It automatically happens. So anything you change here applies directly to the model right away. You can click the X, closes the box. You don't have to worry. It's saved. It's done. And so you can move forward with that. Now, in this particular case, I want to copy this one around to the rest of my information. I can actually use the regular old AutoCAD copy command, but as I mentioned, to get to it, I need to use my advanced tool palette. So I'm going to pick copy. I'm going to select my objects, and I just selected the wrong thing. Copy, select the objects. Too many things are happening right in that corner. I'm going to copy it from the base point of that intersection and copy them on over here. I'm going to hit enter. Now I'm going to grab these 3 columns, 2, 3, and I'm going to copy them down the line. I could have used array if I knew what the size of this was as well, but right now I'm just going to go ahead and hit copy and get all of my columns in. So you can see it's a pretty quick way of doing things. I'm now all in 3D. I can rotate around to see whatever it is I need. So once you have columns in place, of course, you need to add your beams. So a very good command is a continuous beam command. That's going to let me keep on drawing the beams without having to stop in between. So, of course, I could copy them and do whatever once I have one in, but I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see that little node. That node is what's on top of the column, and you want to use node as opposed to endpoint because all of those corners there would be endpoints. So you want to be able to draw with node. So I'm just going to grab my nodes as I'm going around. It's all working in the 3D. It knows the end of the column that I'm working on. I'm going to grab a bunch, go around the outside here. So again, I'm using all of my beams. When I hit enter, it brings up my sections. And so say, for example, it's using the same section I just used. I wanted a smaller one, say a 10 by 30, for example. And I want to change the positioning. Let me zoom in here so you can actually see this happen, by the way. So there's my smaller beams. I'm going to come into positioning and let this be at the top. You can see how everything just zoomed in. It just went down in the size. Now, the naming here is, nothing has really been named yet because this is a standard beam. Whereas if I close this, double-click on a column, just want you to see the naming. The model role is column, so you can see right in here. That's a kind of important thing, and that happens by using the column command. Also notice they're different colors. Well, that's because they're different layers. So even though columns are also considered beams, they're placed on the layer column. I didn't have to do that. The program did it. Come up here, hover over one of my beams. It's a beam as well, and look, it's on layer beams. So the lot of the work is done for you. It's just, I think it's a pretty amazing program with what it does. Okay. So in the practice, you actually do a whole lot more, but I'm not going to do all those columns and beams for you right now. I am going to show you this one thing, and it was interesting that there were some structural engineers on here. You can do import-export with Revit. And so if you have structural engineers who are using Revit, there's a lot of interactivity now between the two programs. You do need to save as the steel markup language, which is an SMLX file. But then you can save it in like that, and then you can import it into Advanced Steel. You can also export Advanced Steel to SMLX and import that into Revit. so you can go back and forth. A lot more interactivity happening between these two products now. So let me just really quickly show you that. And so instead of drawing the whole shebang here, I'm going to come and open another drawing, Platform Revit. So here's my drawing. It has a whole lot more of my beams and everything in place. I'm going to go to the Output tab up here. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Import. There we go. I was thinking the wrong direction there for a minute. The export and import over here in the far left is our import from Revit. Notice it is asking for that specific kind of file. I'm going to hit import, and I happen to have one. There we go. This has been set up so I know it's going to come in the right place and everything as well. I'm going to click open, and voila. There you go. These were in Revit, and now they are part of Advanced Steel. And they know what they are. They know they are the beams and columns and things like that. There might be a little bit of cleanup you need to do, but for the most part, it brings it right on in. And very, very powerful things that you can do there. There's my slideshow. All right. So jumping right on into another really important part of the program is creating connections. And we're going to focus right now on creating tools with the Connection Vault. I am going to show you just some slides of some of the other things, but I'm only going to detail and show you the Connection Vault from this particular section. The Connection Vault is made up of macros that create all parts of the connections and cut back the objects. So, for example, we have our before picture over here where the beams are coming into the column. We need to have all that coped back and cut back and everything. And you need to have your plates and bolts added. Well, these macros are going to do all that for you. So here in my aftershot, you can see it actually has trimmed the beams. It added the plates. It added the bolts and did all the work for you. These boxes that you'll see right here are called joint boxes or connection boxes, and they are the when you create a connection, this shows that you've done that. You can turn these off, but it's helpful. As you'll see in just a minute. So the Connection Vault, as I mentioned, is made up of macros. It's a list of different things. It's very similar to the Advanced Tool Palette. There are groups of categories with multiple options in each category. And each tool has an option to see a visual. You can see right here is the little visual and a written tooltip. And especially as you're getting used to working in Advanced Steel, reading these can be very helpful. So for one thing, it tells you the selection order, what do you need to select first. And in this case, it's a base plate, so all you're selecting is the first column. But then other ones you might be selecting several things, and it tells you the order that you need to select things in, which is an important part. Another cool thing that you can do with this is you can create multiple connections, and so I'm going to show you how to create these joints in a joint group, and then once you make one, they all work together. It's a pretty powerful little tool. So let's go ahead and add a few connections into our drawing. I'm going to open up Platform Connections. So again, here's our same model, just the next step along. And I'm going to come on in here and zoom in on A1. So there you can see there's my column A1, there's my grid numbers. And I'm going to go ahead and add a base plate here. So to do that, I'm coming to my Home tab and then the Connection Vault tool. It brings up my Connection Vault. I need to minimize there, my Advanced Tool Palette, and I can pop the Connection Vault right underneath it and expand it. You can set your own favorites up pretty easily, just drag and drop kind of thing. But here you can see the different kinds of options that I have. I have column to beam, I have beam end to end, platform beams, bracings, a ton of different ones. And then in each of these, I have the options, and this button right here is what shows what you're going to get out of that. So if I'm hovering over this tube connection with sandwich plates, you can see that. And there's whoops, let me go down. The selection order, so you pick the column and then the beam or base plate and then the diagonal beam. So it helps you, tells you, here's the basic things that you can do. I'm going to come here to base plate and pick my base plate option. I'm selecting that one column, so I just need to select the column. Now in this case, I don't have any additional concrete objects, so I'm hitting no. If you did, it would just link them together. And voila, I have, there we go, my base plate. And just like the other properties here, I have a lot of things that can go on in here. I can actually set up the base plate the way I want, like what is its thickness, what do the plate corners look like, do I have washer plates, how do I set up the anchors? So here you can see that they're, I've got a set of 2 this way, my anchor's parallel that way. I can set up all of these. Do I have welds in this one? So yes, there is a weld, and you can see that's where it's going to be. You can set up the stiffeners and plates and all of the different information about it. And if there's holes, just straight holes without bolts, the bolts were under the base plate, you can also add all of your holes. So if you're galvanizing, you can add in the holes that you have here. I'm going to just leave this basic one, base plate in, and close this, and you can see there is my base plate. So now the thing is I need these on all of them. Well, that's a nice thing. I could go ahead and just run the base plate command from here each time. Or what's even more powerful is I can create the joint groups. I'm going to minimize my connection vault and maximize my advanced tool palettes. And in my tools category right here, there's a bunch of tools in them, but the one I want to use right now is I'm going to create a joint group and let's see, create joint and joint group, and it's going to be a multiple one because I don't want to have to, pick each point. I'm going to be able to just select it once, and then it's going to make that. So I'm going to select the joint group. You can see down here, there's my command. I'm going to select the source joint. And I'm going to actually do this. I'm going to select the joint box. Remember this little box around the connection is called a joint box. So I know I'm selecting the joint and press enter. And now it's going to say, okay, what are the corresponding beams? And remember, columns are beams. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and select all the rest of my columns here. I'm just going to run them down this line right now. And of course, in the practice, you do all of them. I'm going to press enter, and there you go. You have all of your joints preset. Now, what's even better about this, though, is I'm going to come in here on number 2 here and open this joint box. This opens my advanced properties. Let's see. Let me move over a little bit so you can see both of these things. There we go. That opens my advanced properties, but this is the advanced joint properties. Let me just show you that actually. If I double-click on that base plate, it opens up what's called advanced properties, and it's just really that plate. You'll notice it's grayed out, though. I can't do anything to it because it's part of a joint. If I double-click on the box, I open the advanced joint properties, and it's got the whole base plate going there. If I need to do this, if I don't have the box showing, because they get in the way if you have too many of them open, I can right-click and select Advanced Joint Properties. So Advanced Properties here, that would open up just the base plate. This would open up the entire connection, which is what I'm going to do. And just a quick, let's just make a little quick change. I'm going to come in here, anchors and holes. Whoops, almost forgot that part. On properties, This one's grayed out too, and it's because it's not the master. It wasn't the original one. But thankfully, instead of having to figure out which one was the original one, I can upgrade to master, and so this is now the main one. And now any changes I'm going to make to this is going to be made to all the rest of them. Let's zoom out a little bit so you can see this happen. Base plate, I'm going to come in and do my anchors. I'm going to change them from the normal anchors to a round J anchor. So I just happen to know this is what I wanted to do for this particular one. There you go. You can see it changed that one, but it also changed all of the other joints that were the same everywhere in the drawing that were made with that same joint group. So very, very, very powerful tool. All right. So with the connection vault, you're getting pre-made groups of things. So it's that macro that's running the whole pre-made thing. But you can go ahead and create all of this yourself. I'm not going to show you any of these, but I'm just going to run through a few slides so that you'll know that these are things that you can do in this. So you can create a custom connection from scratch. You can do all the different parts. So there's custom beam features, tools. You can cut and miter to the beams. You can create folded plates and flat plates. So if you have some odd angles that this may not, some of the defaults may not work, you could come in and create folded and flat plates. There's a lot of the tools that are available on the tool palette to add features to plates and the beams. So here you can see a flat plate that has had a number of things done to it. You could add bolts and welds in. So this is a practice, but I'm not going to actually go show it to you right now. But we actually make that plate, add those bolts, the two plates, and then add holes, and you can and welds. By the way, welds, that really little pink thing here and here, those are the welds. So the welds don't display in real time, or at least the point welds don't display in real time. But they do show up in your documentation. So once if you've done a whole lot of those and you need to do them independently, then you can group them into a custom connection. And again, a very powerful tool. Then once you've got a custom connection, you can use it very much like you did the custom or the main connection choices there. Now, once again, I'm going to rush through this. And sorry about rushing so fast, but there are a bunch of additional model objects you can build. And so I'm going to just give you a couple quick views of that. You can create claddings and gratings. And so these are special things that you like, the claddings you might use for walls or for your roofs, gratings for the platforms that you're putting in. You add those in. Modeling ladders and rails, stairs and railings is just a powerful tool. They're very complex because there's so many options, but they help you quickly create and modify them. They're very, very cool. The first time I saw what you could do with railings, the precision and ease of putting these railings together, I was just blown away. I was very, very pleased with what you can do with the railings. So they're very detailed, very precise, and quick. Concrete objects include things like walls and beams and slabs, columns. You put them in the same way you put in any kind of steel object. The big difference here is, this is not something you're going to be fabricating with, but it is going to help you show what's needed as part of the documentation. So that might be what you need to see. You need to be able to see where are the foundation, the footings, and things like that that you're working in. So those are some of the additional objects that you can put in. But now, that's just a little taste of what's available. We're going to go on to the important part of our show is actually creating documentation. And I'm going to flip back over here to this for a minute. I actually had a problem with my PowerPoints, and so I need to switch over and open a different PowerPoint for this part of the... There we go. Okay. So We're going to create fabrication drawings, and the main thing I'm going to talk about here is running these drawing styles and processes, working with the document manager. But before you start extracting documents, you need to number the objects, and of course the program's going to do that for you. Identical parts are numbered with the same mark. Single parts have no other parts welded or bolted to them in the workshop. So this is an assembly. It does have some things welded or bolted to them in the workshop. But this one, you have a single part mark and then also the assembly marks. If you add parts after the numbering, you just run the command again, and it updates with the appropriate information. So let's take a quick look at the tools that you use to create documents. So here's an example of a document, and the nice thing is you don't need to worry about paper space and model space layouts. You don't worry about them. They're done for you. You don't worry about your title block. That's done for you. You don't worry about dimensioning and tagging. It's done for you. There's a lot of setup. You can do all of the setup to make it be exactly what you want it to show, but it automatically happens from the model. And you can, of course, make modifications in these drawings, but the base work is done for you. So the tools that you're going to use to do these, the primary ones, are found on what they're called the quick document palettes, and they're much like the advanced tool palette and Connection Vault. They give you access to the primary macros you're going to use. Drawing styles, this group over here, creates things like 3D isometrics and plans and elevations and sections. Each view is created independently. The drawing processes are actually part drawings using multiple drawing styles. So it actually is taking several of these and turning them into a group and placing them on a sheet. You can see these are ANSI A is a title block size. And you can have them, this particular one is showing you can do single parts, and you can have all of your single parts in the entire drawing placed each individually on an ANSI A. Don't do that one. I don't think that's a good idea. But there's other ones that you can, and I'll show you some of the others as we go into the demo. The other tool that you use as you're working on documentation is called the Document Manager. And in the Document Manager, this is where you actually view and open your drawings. You don't actually open drawings outside of using the Document Manager. And this is because the drawings are all linked to the model. And so if you make a change in the model, it'll update automatically in the documentation as long as they have remained linked. You can have revisions, or you can just force an update. So let's say you're early in the project, there aren't revisions yet, you make a change, you just force an update. But later in the project, when it is an important thing and you need to set a revision, then you go ahead and pick your revision and set those all up. So that's also done in here, revisioning. The other thing is you can also work in the documentation drawings. So like I said, a lot of the information is automatically placed in the drawing, but you can modify and add text and dimensions and things like that in the view properties. You can set the clip and the orientation and the scale. Here's where if you needed to change the scale to fit your particular sheet. So let's look at it. We're going to run some drawing styles and drawing processes. And let me open up my documents drawing. So here's the documents drawing as it's coming up. It takes a minute because there's a lot of information in this drawing. As you can see now, this one has all the railings and the ladders. There's a cage ladder over there. Here's my stairs with railings down here. And everything's connected. So there's my cladding up top and a bit of grading down here. So there's a lot of stuff already happening in this one. I'm going to go ahead and minimize my Advanced Tool Palette and Connection Vault because I'm going to bring up another palette. And go there we go, output. I was choosing the wrong tab there. My output tab, here's my documents right in here, drawing styles, drawing processes. By the way, I'm not going to cover this, but BOM templates, BOM templates is another one. It creates not drawings, but actual extractable, like something you'd put in a spreadsheet. So drawing styles, here we go. I have my drawing styles here, a bunch of different drawing styles to do. I'm going to do one really quick because I just realized how late it is, and I want to get a little bit more of this finished. I'm just going to do a 3D view and with labels. And before I do that, though, I do need to look at this. So remember, looking at the information is very helpful because this one says we're going to do a 3D view at the UCS. And it's telling me also it's going to be the entire model, visible line representation with some beams labeled, the main part beams labeled. So this is if I did one with labels. If I did one without labels, there we go. There's the without labels. So without labels, I might do that one instead. The thing is here, I do need to set the UCS so that it's at my view. And so I'm just going to minimize this for a minute. Advanced Tool Palette, UCS view. So this is the command I'm doing. And if you look down here, there's my UCS right now. I'm now changing that to the view. And you can see my X and Y axis are now facing me as if I'm looking directly at this particular view. And that's important for this command. Drawing styles must not be connected. There we go. All right, let's try that one again. I'm going to do the 3D view without labels. Click it. Create with default settings. It's going to take just a minute. You can see down here it's scanning the model. It's going to hide the display. It's doing a ton of work in the background here for you. So just wait a second. Here we go. Coming more. I'm looking at the command line to see when it's finished. And sure enough, there it is. It's telling me I've got drawing 1.dwg ready. Like I said, you don't want to open it up yourself. You want to go through the document manager. So I'm coming up here, clicking on my document manager. Come in my details area. I'll skip this open, click on it. I can preview it over here. You can see I'm picking the preview tab. So that's going to come up, and it's showing me that's the 3D view that was just made. I'm going to open that drawing. You can see it is a separate drawing. So here's the tab. So that's platform documents that I was in. Here's this separate drawing. But remember, don't open it by yourself because it'll make a mess of the whole program. But anyway, there it is. I can zoom in. I can move around. I can see all the parts that I have here. It automatically placed my title block on here. And that can be filled out in this as well. I'm not going to save this particular drawing. I just was showing it to you, but you can, of course, if you do make changes, you'd want to save it. I want to real quickly show you how to make a plan view. And again, the important thing is I'm going to come to make an anchor plan view. I want to make sure my UCS, though, is facing the right way. And I can do that two ways. One, I can come up here to the top view. And that, it just brings me back into that view. But I don't need to be in the top view to do the work. So I'm going to come back to Southwest Isometric, which is the one I typically am using. And there you can see my UCS is where I want it to be for the anchor plan, because I want to be looking straight down my XY axis. I'm going to go ahead and click Anchor Plan, creating it with the default settings. Now, this one is asking me for where the window is, so I'm selecting all of the building. I don't have to. I can select part of the building if I want to, or something like this. And once again, it has made my drawing. I'm going to run to my document manager. And here's drawing 2. So I'm not going to go into this one right now, but you can even zoom in here and see that it actually placed in a lot of tags as well as your dimensions on this particular one. Let me run a drawing process, and there are a couple of different ways to do drawing processes. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do assembly selected, and what it is I'm going to select an assembly before I come into here, and then I'm going to say I want it to go on page full ANSI D. So what that means is I select the assembly. It's going to figure out what all the different parts of that assembly are. So let's say, for example, I'm going to select that intersection right there, grab that assembly. It's going to take all of the detail drawings that you need for that and place it on an ANSI D size sheet, so the D size sheet. And it's also, if it needs more than one, it'll automatically make 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, ever how many. So I'm going to click that button. This is the process properties. It's just remembering what was the last drawing number. I'm not going to need to worry about that right now. I'm going to click OK. And again, my detail processing is happening. You can see down at the bottom, it's starting kind of flipping the thing. There we go. We have drawings. So I'm going to come back into my document manager. So it's still in the same area. You can see now I have assemblies, and it's sheet 3, 4, and 5, and that's what was created when I ran that. When I look at an assembly sheet, it has all the different parts of it. It also includes the bill of materials that's with it. I am going to go ahead and open this drawing so you can see it. Getting a little closer. So there you go. Bill of materials with all the information, even showing you where various things are cut. The weld marks are in here. If it had weld, I don't think this one has welds. All the different parts are showing. And so I can go back into my platform documents and open the document manager and see the other sheets as well. So if I wanted to see this sheet, there we go. I just double-clicked, by the way, on it. Sorry, I just did that faster and didn't show you. So here again, information that's on the sheet, automatically created. And once again, I'm going to close these without saving them. And remember, I'm sorry I don't have time because we are almost to the top of the hour, but you can do revisions with this. So let me just show you the revisions. Revision clouds are actually automatically added to your screen if something has been made. So very powerful tool. And again, you use it through the document manager rather than opening the files yourself. And one other thing I just don't have time for, but Chapter 6 is bills of material and numerical control files. And just so you'll know, it's another one of the palettes here that you have. So you can use this BOM templates palette, and there's a bunch of different ones you can set up. It creates an actual separate drawing, or not a drawing in this case, a file. This file can be exported out to PDF or to like a spreadsheet program or something like that. It can also be saved within the document manager, so you can always access it within document manager. If you are exporting data to NC or DXF files to run your CNC machines, the NC information can be reviewed, but NC information is basically the text or the numbers and the sizes and everything that the machine needs. If you are using a DXF, I gather that's for some older CNC machines use DXF information, you actually can see the actual drawing. And you can see that it's going to put that little part number on it. So all of that is automatically applied when you numbered the part and then ran the information. So extremely powerful program. We've made it through a whirlwind tool of the new Advanced Steel 2018 Fundamentals Training Guide, and we've gone from 3D model to our 2D documents. So I did what I hoped I was going to. I created a 3D model of a steel structure. We added connections using the connection manager, and then extracted 2D drawings from the model and reviewed the detailed drawings using the document manager. So I know that was a whirlwind trip, like I said, but let me just pass this back to Corrine, and she's just going to give you a little bit more information about what you might need from us. So thank you very much for being on this, and if you do have questions, pop them in the Q&A. I will write a blog and give you more information. So Corrine, back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Martha. You've got a lot of questions in here. Just so you know, a lot of people are asking the difference between Revit structural and advanced steel. So
okay, I can tell you that one. It's a different. Yeah. I mean, it's a different program.
Yeah. So some people are asking, what should I be using, this one or this one? So anyway, we'll have those are great. Send your questions.
Yes, I will answer that in the blog.
You'll weigh in on it. That's great. So I really just quickly wanted to go over the fact that Martha took all of this content and information from the new book, which is just now available. It was perfect timing. It was released yesterday, I believe. It's called Autodesk Advanced Steel 2018 Fundamentals. If you go to our website, ASCENTed.com, which I'll have that on the next slide in a second, it's the first book there that's under new releases, and so it is now available for you to purchase. We have it available in a printed version for you, so if you want it already printed, spiral bound, you can get that from us. We also have it as an ebook as well, if you prefer. It's the exact same content, it's just delivered in a different format. And then for our other courseware, we also have e-learning bundles, video-enhanced ebooks. We have instructor tools, which we have for this book as well. And if you're looking to purchase really large quantities of the book, of the title, then you can do the digital site license option, which gives you the file and gives you the ability to print as many copies of the book as you have registered with us for your digital site license. So on the next slide, I'd like to point out just all of the different ways you can connect with us. We're all over social media. We now have Facebook. We have Twitter. We're on LinkedIn. So I do try and post all of the information about our new books. This one I'll be posting this week since it was just released, and things like our webcasts, all over social media. So please do follow us. We've got a blog as well, which you can access right from the homepage of our website. And as we have said, Martha will do a follow-up blog to this webcast. She'll take all of the questions and answer them in there, and then have the recording as well. And everyone who is here registered today will get a copy of this recording. So look out for that next week as well. If you have any questions, there's our phone number, and feedback@ascented.com is a great way to contact us. So if you have any questions that come up after this webcast, you may think, oh, I wish I'd asked her this, please feel free to email us, and we will make sure to get back to you. And that's all I have. So Martha, thank you so much for your time. Everyone, thank you for joining us today for this brand new title. We're so excited about it. As you can see, there's lots to cover. Martha did a really good job of speed talking her way through and demoing through that. So very well done. So I think we're just at the top of the hour, which is perfect. Everyone can enjoy the rest of their day. Okay, thanks very much, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day for those of you who are celebrating that.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day. Okay, thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.